Shadow Warrior Classic. I remember when this came out. I was in college at the time. It was released in 1997. And, yeah. The box wasn't necessarily anything spectacular, just red and, Shadow Warrior. Of course, some of the images on the back were what caught the eye. I mean, this was a first person shooter using the same engine as Duke Nukem 3D. And had some of the same humor in it, too. I mean, honestly, when you're playing through it and a fortune cookie pops up, you find a fortune cookie that gives you health and pops up there. Baseball wrong. Man with 4 balls cannot walk. Well, that's the kind of humor you're dealing with. Now, you play as Lo Wang, a former bodyguard and enforcer for Zilla, who was, in the story of the game, he is this conglomerate owner who owns all these companies in Japan, but he doesn't just want that, he wants full control. And Lo Wang went against him when Zilla started basically bringing in creatures from the other side, from the dark side. Well, that's one way to get one of your best bodyguards and enforcers to go against you, I guess. And so Lo Wang begins his one-man army against Zilla and his forces. Now, of course, it starts out with what was, at the time, a very good market base. It's been proven to work. Starts out with shareware levels. 4 shareware levels where you fight your way from the town all the way to the home of Lo Wang's master who taught him, his sensei. And of course, this is using a more advanced engine than Doom had used at the time. I mean, you're jumping. They were just getting that down in games like this and allowing yourself to use other items and other cool weapons. So, you make your way there, and of course, his sensei, his master, whatever you want to call it, they also have 3 beautiful daughters that look like anime girls. Yeah, this was not it was not necessarily politically correct. Especially when you think of his name, Lo Wang. Yes, you can actually come upon them. One is, quote, in the bathroom. One is bathing in one of the springs. And, of course, the last one is crying at her dead father's side. Yeah. So now Lo Wang now really increases the assault on Zilla's stuff. I mean, as you're playing through the regular level, the main levels of the game, which the game is actually set up that you could play through the 4 shareware levels, but then you have to restart it as going through the rest of the levels. Which, At least when it ends that, it doesn't end the game out. You can always you could just start them right up after. I mean, Doom has its episode selection, but this was not that. So now you are working your way through his various encampments and setups in the areas, wiping out these creatures. And it's not just small creatures, there are some big nasties in this game. You've got this four-armed serpent creature that's a boss at least 2, 3 levels, and a mini boss in the last level of the game. You got this big guy, like a giant. He has all these elemental attacks, but again, he is a boss of sorts. A level boss, and then, you know, he's on some more levels. And the game has a pseudo 3D element. I mean, if you look on a map, you can actually see where maps are designed to move, to show the elevation if things are basically overlapping on a map. Well, I mean, each level progresses like a normal first person shooter type level. You have to find keys to progress. You have to sometimes solve puzzles to progress. That's a little bit of an oddity, but of course, adding with it that you now have Lo Wang can jump, find some secrets, and have, of course, find Kevlar vest to use as armor. And Lo Wang uses all sorts of weapons against these demons and monstrosities. And sometimes some human-looking fight characters, which usually look like women. So you fight your way through this game, and you will have to use things that are on a level. Like in some parts, in order to progress, you need to repair a tank or something and drive around with that and blast weapons. And you got the, hey, we're all in the water thing, so you're going to need a boat. And then they even throw in some nasty little things, like a duplicate of yourself, a shadow-like creature. Oh my god, that was rough. Some things require even, you have to sometimes duck to find what you need to activate. And sometimes they hide ladders in the damnedest areas. And some things are not so obvious to allow you to progress, but the weaponry they also put in there is varied. I mean, you've got submachine guns, Uzis. Wang can slice things up with his katana. Sword, that's a personal weapon, as he says. Yeah, missile launcher. Oh boy, does he get giddy when he gets that. Mines. Actually, some of them I don't even understand why they have them in there. And you can pick up items that you can use later. I cannot figure out how to cycle through them to use them. But some could be very handy, like invisibility or a smoke bomb, where characters don't necessarily notice you, or it impairs their ability to attack you. And of course, your enemies will drop ammo sometimes, depending on the enemy. They do a very good job of making it very, interactive to follow things. Now, as you make your way through, of course, make your way through the levels, trying to solve the various puzzles, and some of them just to get through them is a puzzle. You run across other things. Sometimes you have to maybe drop a bomb down someplace and kaboom. Sometimes you have to find where what exactly what you have. There's a broken wall over here, so you're going to have to blow it up. Of course, if you use the wrong weapon or get too close, well, you're screwed. And of course, some of your enemies, hey, we're going to throw this bomb. You're going to hear it beep, beep. Where's that beeping coming from? You get too close, kablooey. Oh, you son of a bitch. That got me a few times. To get some items, you have to alter the landscape. Yeah. Yeah, in order to get one secret in one level, you actually have to turn a cannon and run along the edge of the cannon and jump into the area. Of course, that's after destroying the plate, covering it. And don't worry, if you fall in the water. There's also some weapon, creatures lurking in the water. And yes, you can fire your guns in the water. Don't make sense, but you can do it. And of course, depending on what you're fighting, some areas are a bitch. And of course, it comes to figuring out how to utilize the scenery. I mean, I had to use the old open door, shoot, closed door trick. Or duck out of the way. At some points. And of course, for the final level of the game, that's impressive. I mean, you got to fight one mini boss to get a key. Climb up a mountain type area to get to the door that's for. Fight another boss to get another key. Climb up to the mountain to get, open the final door that leads to your final fight. I mean, it's clever for what it is. And it had so much cult status that they actually remade it years later with better graphics, and probably everything else was better. Of course, back in the day, they knew how to sell it. You have animation of Lo Wang in his idle state. He will eventually pull out chopsticks to try and catch a fly. And you come across one of the, quote, anime girls. Kind of makes it look like you could pinch her with that. And the game also had some other little clever, I guess, humor in it. Mind you, they changed it between the shareware version and the fullware version. I mean, I think it's the fourth level, you blow up a wall, and inside you find a chained up Lara Croft. Because she was very big at the time. Lo Wang, I guess she raided her last tomb. Something like that. It was the kind of thing they would acknowledge. It was their little acknowledgement to how much Tomb Raider set the bar. Now, of course, like I said, you fight some of these bosses. There's some that you could actually avoid. I know I did that a few times. And others that you can... you just have to use your wits to get past some. But I can understand where this game got its criticisms. I mean, in one level, you are at an airport where a plane was just crashed into, and hey, what do you know? I found a bunch of C4. It's a good idea, so I can progress to set it off. Another level, you're going through like a subway area, and of course, they have to blow up a wall in that subway tube in order to progress. Of course, through all the shenanigans and through the levels, I mean, after you take care of one of Zilla's things, you end up getting captured by his people and put into a prison ship. I think it was a prison ship. So you gotta work your way out. At least the one good thing they did was it make the levels make sense in their setup. At least, you know, if you like duck down or all that, you know, you're going one level to another, it has to switch maps or switch where you're looking at on the map. It's and of course some of the levels they just designed them. They're so brutal. You go into one level, you're met with a hall full of traps. These blades spinning about back and forth. You have no sign of where you can go in there. Unless you just go try and pushing against everything and open, you know, trying to open a door. Of course, the longer you do that, and then if you keep missing, it's like, oh, I keep running into walls. What's wrong with me? I keep running into walls. And of course, hey, we're going to put this little key over here, and this column has rotating blades, so, you know, you got to duck through, or it's tricky to get through that. And if you're playing it with a mouse and keyboard, because it's not made for the modern controllers, obviously, this is obvious. You can't adjust how you look at things or adjust your aim, and that's something that comes in handy with some things. But it had enough of staying power. Of course, when you finally get to the final fight with Zilla, he is on a platform that is teetering and tottering. And you have to keep running around him, blasting him, eventually damaging his suit enough for it to go kerblooey, and maybe he gets a chance to escape. I can't remember. And then you have completed Shadow Warrior Classic. So what is it? Like I said, it had a cult following to get a remake done in later years. Probably looked a lot better and more cohesive. In the end, it's not necessarily a bad game. It's a product of its times and from the people who had the humor to create Duke Nukem 3D. So you gotta expect a lot of off-color, a good deal of off-color humor. I mean, and that stuff. I mean, you turn the TV on in the ship, in the one level, and hey, what do we got? A close-up of a girl in panties from the waist down. But there are some consequences for doing something stupid, or it's inventive. I mean, you have to jump to find some secrets, or you have to do certain things. It throws you for a loop when you're looking for some secrets unless you know where to look for them. I mean, it's free on at least GOG. I don't know about other sites. I don't remember. It's a game if you want to experience it or remember seeing the box in the stores when you were younger. I mean, I'm glad I got it done and took that one off my playlist. I don't think I'll be going back to it. Hell, I only managed to pick it up because I saw it was free on GOG. And to be honest, that's all I'm going to say about Shadow Warrior Classic. It it's a cult favorite, I would say. I mean, there's certain things of it I didn't fully understand when I first played it years ago, and there's things I still don't understand about it, how to work things out. But that's all I'm going to say about it. Thank you for listening if you're still out there, and give the video a like and check out all the other videos that premiere. Bye all.